to truth via the path of non-contradiction. Join us each week on Feet to the Fire, a show with the goals of examining a subject matter on its own merit.
The views expressed in the following show are of the host, the guest, and the callers. The content of the following show, its accuracy, authenticity, and the ramifications of the use or application of said content is the responsibility of those speaking and listening, not the broadcast medium.
All right, we are back and we are live. Feet to the Fire. I'm your host, James Zalthianchik, the Black Knight of Talk Radio. We are live, actually live for the second time in one day. I tell you, I missed a show a few weeks back, and now I guess I've made up for that one anyway. But we are live. It is February, well, let's change that. I did a show earlier. I changed the date, but I did this different one. The 25th. It is live from thereabouts around Chicagoland area, a little bit south, east, west of it. The show I did earlier was going to be just a taping to air at another date or what have you, and it turned out we did it live anyway. It was with Zeph Daniels, who had been podcasting before me. 2002, I think he started. He's on his 16th year anniversary, going into 17, and we've had our 15th year anniversary going into, now we're in our 16th. He is quite a guy. Best way to do it is to watch the interview, because I could tell you about it now. I don't take up this whole show to talk about it. Links will be below, but also you can go to the YouTube page. Oh, excuse me. You don't mind if I just vomit here, do you? feettothefireradio.com. Here we go. Go live and start hiccuping. That will be where you can find everything. Hold on, let me get a drink here. All right. Very good talk. About 2 hours. It was good talk. I like Zeph. Good musician. Good commentator. He's got he's got a line in on what's happening. I found him during the Trump election, and you go check it out. We'll do that. We have interesting stuff to talk about. You know, a lot of the stuff that's been going on with the shootings and whatnot, a lot of people have been putting videos out and stuff. And then you have, of course, the secret, deep, informers who can't tell you their name, and they come out with stuff in questions and all this stuff, which I don't pay any mind to. But I have a saying that God will put out a window to the soul. And if your eyes are open to see it, it'll be like this. All of a sudden, this whole window of reality opens up, and it's like, did you see that? And nobody around you sees him, or some do who are sometimes it's personal, like God will open his window for you, but they'll see this window and it'll be like naked honesty, and then close, and then but the people around and in it, in this case, in this interview I'm going to play, they're just going on like nothing. They don't see it, and I think sometimes God blinds the eyes. Either they're self-blinded by being arrogant and wise, but they'll blind the eyes of those and allow this stuff to come out. And if your eyes are open and you're looking at it, or you happen to be in it, you want to know truth, whatever, it'll be like, bam, right in your face. And yet there'll be a plausible denial, but the plausible denial will be kind of ridiculous. I mean, it'll be kind of like, what? So that way the people who are asleep won't get shaken awake. And I'm not saying this arrogantly, like I'm awake and other people are asleep. We're all waking to some degree, or we're sinking deeper into sleep. And I don't propose to say I'm awake. But I'm waking, and I want to wake. So there was a news story. Let me just go to this right off the bat. There was a news story. It was carried on IntelliHub, and I can't speak. I'm not saying that IntelliHub is. I'm not vouching for or against. Okay, this is just the source. It came out actually yesterday. I guess late, 11 Eastern at night. There was an interview. Teacher grazed by Parkland shooter's bullet. Quote, shooter was in a full metal garb, helmet, face mask, bulletproof armor, shooting a rifle I've never seen before. I'm like, what? So I had to look at this. And if you can read the article, I got the links will be posted. But I wanted to do this first live just in case, because there's been a lot of stuff going on with people being censored. In fact, let me go back a second and bring up this article, because this is on, let me get the full. This is on a website called The Red Elephant, and that there has been, it talks about Facebook and YouTube removing any and all posts about certain witnesses for the shooting. And there's a couple in particular. And in this article, they talk about how there have been many. On Tuesday, thousands of conservative Twitter accounts had thousands of their followers slashed by Twitter. The hashtag Twitter lockout reached top 3 in the trending list, as those same accounts were also blocked out of their accounts pending a phone number request while their followers were being purged by Twitter. All of this came suddenly with absolutely zero response from Twitter, except for 4 tweets about the movie Black Panther, an unrelated deal. So if you go to that article, you can read on this stuff. He's got it pretty well documented. But this is what's happening now. They're getting really, really tough. And so you notice I'm talking, and I'm not posting certain things just so that this can go through. I mean, just in case this wasn't a one-time thing. So getting back to where I was on the TeleHub, this interview was actually on Good Morning America, and it was posted on Good Morning America's own website. Own Facebook page. So at first I watched it, and I'm going to play it. I first watched it, and I was like shocked, because I was like, wow. And I'll stop it as we go through it to show some of the stuff on there. But this to me is, it was, I don't know, I think it's real stuff to pay attention to. I'm not saying nothing else is, but some of the stuff about certain kids being on certain different graduations, different time, that all made sense to me. I looked it up, that there could be 2 different people with different names. One, there's not the same picture. You have a yearbook being shown, but it could be the yearbook from from the actual Florida high school. It wasn't done specifically enough to be without doubt, so on. But let me just play this, and then we'll talk. I thought it was going to go away, so I screen captured it and saved it, but it's on Good Morning America's actual Facebook page. So, but they may still pull it down when somebody points your attention. Hey, well, let's just start this out, okay?
Just 1 week ago, Valentine's Day, creative writing teacher Stacy Lapel's class was playing music, writing love letters when the fire alarm went off. As students filed into the hallway, she heard gunfire. The killing had begun.
I was about 2 feet away from my door. All of a sudden, I heard gunshots in the stairwell, which is about 20 feet away from my room. And then kids were screaming, and then running back towards me and towards the end of the hallway. So I just went in this very strange autopilot mode where I pivoted on my feet. I unlocked my door, and then kids just started pouring in my room. I don't know how many kids were in there, but I was pulling them and getting them in and shouting at them to get in the room. And then I suddenly saw the shooter about 20 feet from me, standing.
All right. She saw the shooter about 20 feet from me.
At the end of the hallway, actively shooting down the hallway.
Actively shooting down the hallway. Now, note, he said the fire alarm rang, kids went out in the hall. She said that earlier. Then she saw the shooter 20 feet from her actively shooting down the hall.
Just a barrage of bullets. And
A barrage of bullets. Now, an AK-15, AR-15 is automatic. It's semi-automatic, but you got to pull the trigger each time. Boom, 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 right? AK-47 is an automatic, and you pull the trigger and boom. So barrage of bullets sounds to me automatic.
I'm staring at him thinking, why is the police here? This is strange, because he's in...
Staring at him, why are the police here? Obviously, it's not the guy who was arrested. Okay?
Full metal garb, helmet, face mask, bulletproof armor, shooting this rifle that I've never seen before.
Full metal garb, helmet, padding, shooting a rifle never seen before. That is not a policeman. How now? Is this teacher going to be wrong? Now, this is before the police got there. This is before anybody would be able to respond. And this is on Good Morning America broadcast. They recorded it and played it yet live on their show, and they put it on their website.
I don't know when I decided it was the right time to close the door. I grabbed the handle with both hands, and that's when I got nicked or grazed or whatever you call it.
So a bullet hit your arm?
Yes. As I'm closing my door, I'm shouting.
Okay, so a bullet hit her arm. The guy shooting down the hallway. Maybe when ricocheted, did he turn and shoot at her? Because, she'll talk about her colleague who was killed.
At my next door neighbor, Mr. Scott Beagle, to close his door. And he's the kind of man that would just keep that door open a little longer. You know, he's all about the kids, you know, but he couldn't see the shooter. I had a good visual of him, which is why I yelled at him to shut his door now.
35-year-old teacher Scott Beagle among the 17 murdered on Marjorie Stoneman Douglas's campus.
I heard him shoot a barrage of bullets into Mr. Beagle's room. And then he came to my room and shot about 4 or 5 shots into my room, breaking the glass of my door. There's a rectangular piece of glass. And I heard him continuously shooting down the hallway. And I never really knew when he left because we just thought he was still there.
Once you all were inside the classroom, you were with your students.
Yes.
Covering them, kind of like a mother hen.
Yes.
Right.
Clutching. I think I left fingerprints in one girl. Giving eye contact to other kids who were shaking and freaking out. And I'm mouthing, it's okay, it's okay. It was so quiet. And then all of a sudden I hear helicopters outside, far, far in the distance, it seemed to me.
Okay, helicopters outside, far, far in distance. Now the responders are coming.
Police officers far, far in the distance. Kids were screaming in the hallway for help. We're trained not to let anybody in the room. And I would say a good 45 minutes went by, maybe an hour. And when we heard the SWAT team come on the floor, but I still didn't trust that it was them because they were banging on the doors. Police let us in. No one got up. And then they just let themselves in. And
so like 45 minutes to an hour, the SWAT team comes in and knocks on the door. Who was the full metal garb guy?
Got us out, and on the way out, that's when I saw Mr. Beagle laying on the ground, and I saw my students laying on the ground. I lost 2 students, and other bodies and carnage everywhere. It was the most awful sight I've ever seen. It's like from a movie.
How are you dealing, having seen this, and it being very, very real?
It's awful. You know, I've never had to deal with anything like this before. I mean, I'm a stoic person to begin with. I'm not the most emotional person. And so when I sit and think and I pause about my 2 beloved students who were killed from that class, It's hard to live with.
Now,
Because I love them.
I wanted to play her talking about being stoic and not a real emotional person, which explains why she was talking fluently about this. But then in her mind's eye, when she reflected back, you could see when she looked away, she was thinking about what happened, and that horrible stuff came back to her, and she started to cry, very understandably. This is huge, huge, huge. To me, this is the biggest red flag thing that's come out of this whole thing. The idea about having the video, the one new reporter star, new CNN recruit, had a video, and they showed him where he was talking about the time, which is earlier in the day. Remember, the school had been trained by the Secret Service. They had drills going on. He might have been filming, the practice filming at the drills. Okay, I'm going to take the simplest approach. I'm not going to get all deep and say like he was part of the whole, on the back end, part of the murder conspiracy. Let's just say he's filming it. They're having a drill. They're using this drill for him to do to be able to do the journalism. He films it. It ends up being real. So maybe he decides to put the video out like it's live. Okay, maybe this is just ingenuous if that's how it went. But it fits CNN, doesn't it? Because they can have the stuff all in a can ready to roll. It's like, yeah, we'll use it. But then the little leader part gets out about the date, and then people say, oh, maybe he knew about it. Well, maybe, but let's just stick with even the fact that he may have filmed it as a practice run, and then all of a sudden it goes live, which I know it's crazy in and of itself. But then he decides to put it out as a real deal, and gets caught with that, and then let him go on and let that go on here. But I wanted to talk about this. This to me is huge. You have a teacher, a rational, calm teacher, eyewitness to a full metal, full armed Garb guy, as this picture shows in the telehub, coming in, shooting barrages of bullets down the hall. Now, she just said earlier, too, fire alarm sounds, kids follow, they go out into the hall looking to exit. A guy standing there in full metal Garb, firing barrages of bullets down the hallway. Huge. This is huge. And it's sitting there right on Good Morning America's website, besides being broadcasted on their show, which you would think somebody would be reading this and go like, this is huge. Wait a minute. There's one shooter. He was an unstable kid. He got taken away. Nobody has said they saw him shooting, at least to my knowledge. No one has said they saw him shooting. There's no pictures. There's no video. There's no nothing. He's got a confession, and they said they'll spare his life if he confesses. Why does he need to confess? They should have all kinds of video, all kinds of proof of this guy. They have the guns. They have fingerprints on a gun. He's going to have gunpowder on his hands. He's got the history behind him and all this stuff. So what it starts to do, it disgusts me, and I get upset by this. This starts to look like he's a patsy. He's the guy. He's the, what's his name, from Kennedy. I can't. See, I got this problem. When I see someone's picture, I can't think of their name. This is huge. Huge. This is the hugest story out of this event. More huge than the police, the county guys, guards not going in after him. And why wouldn't they go in after him? Maybe they were told not to. I mean, we can argue with all that stuff, but this is huge. What she's saying is absolutely amazing. And those who are just tuning in now, you're going to have to rewind it. I mean, I could play it again, but I don't know if this will go away. I guess they got to try just ignore it, and enough people do it. Oswald, thank you. See, when I see the name picture of the face, the name is gone. I don't know. Maybe it's become a genius, or because I'm retarded. I don't know. Whatever it is. So this to me is the hugest thing I've seen to date. I saw this video and almost just about fainted in my chair. I was like, this should be all over the place. And it was brought to attention because somebody posted it, who's on my feed on Facebook. And I watched this. I was like, what? And I watched it, and I was floored by it. I immediately reposted it myself, and since then, I don't know, dozens of people have been spreading it around. It's good. Get it out there. And I did capture the video so that in the event it disappears, I do have it. And you can't download it. At least I can't. I tried using my download stuff, but so I actually played the video and screen captured it. So this, to me, is the hugest thing about this yet. It's huge, 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 huge. And I think there's 1 million people have seen this video. And let me go back and play this section again. This is just unbelievable. This is just unbelievable. I'll get to the meat and potatoes.
Helmet in there, but I was pulling them and getting them in and shouting at them to get in the room. And then I suddenly saw the shooter about 20 feet from me, standing at the end of the hallway, actively shooting down the hallway, just a barrage of bullets. And I'm staring at him thinking...
Actively shooting down the hallway, barrage of bullets, and said he never saw the gun. Let me go back. This is unbelievable.
I don't know how many kids were in there, but I was pulling them and getting them in and shouting at them to get in the room.
Let me go back to the fire alarm.
Towards the end of the hallway. So I just went in this very strange room. And then kids were screaming and then running back towards me and towards the end of the hallway.
Let me go back.
And I heard gunshots.
Let me go back.
As students filed into the hallway, she heard gunfire.
Uh-oh. Is there a problem here? Oh, maybe it's gone. Now it's not playing. It could be because I was fooling around with the... Let me refresh the page. Here it is.
Just 1 week ago, Valentine's Day, creative writing teacher Stacy Lapel's class was playing music, writing love letters when the fire alarm went off. As students filed into the hallway, she...
Fire alarm went off. Students file into the hallway.
Heard gunfire.
She heard gunfire.
Killing had begun.
I was about 2 feet away from my door. All of a sudden, I heard gunshots in the stairwell, which is about 20 feet away from my room. And then kids were screaming and then running back towards me and towards the end of the hallway. So I just went in this very strange autopilot mode where I pivoted on my feet. I unlocked my door, and then kids just started pouring in my room. I don't know how many kids were in there, but I was pulling them and getting them in and shouting at them to get in the room. And then I suddenly saw the shooter about 20 feet from me, standing at the end of the hallway, actively shooting down the hallway, just a barrage of bullets. And I'm staring at him thinking, why is the police here? This is strange, because he's in full metal garb, helmet, face mask, bulletproof armor, shooting this rifle that I've never seen before. I don't know when I decided it was the right time to close the door. I grabbed the handle with both hands, and that's when I got nicked or grazed or whatever you call it.
So a bullet hit your arm?
Yes. As I'm closing my door, I'm shouting at my next door neighbor, Mr. Scott Beagle.
Now, I guess they could say that Cruz dressed up in this garb, did this shooting, then disrobed and blended into the crowd. Maybe this is why they being GMA was not whoa about this. And maybe this lady who's talking, the teacher, thinks that it's the student who dressed up in this garb and shot. So it's possible that's what they thought. Oh, this guy. But nowhere has it been said anywhere that I've seen, and I've not been watching this like crazy, but no one has said that he had anything other than this gun. He had a backpack and a duffel bag that had the gun and the ammo in it. I don't know how you could have a full metal garb, helmet, and all these things stuffed in the duffel bag. It was never mentioned afterwards, and if anybody has seen anything, please send me a link. I'll add to this because I'm not trying to create a stir here. I'm trying to find out what's going on, and this sounded to me like a huge red flag that this was presented. So, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Again, people, if people who are looking into this or you're watching, and you put the comments below, put links or something, and say, oh, yeah, he was wearing this stuff. But I've never heard this. So if it's been a common story here and I happen to miss it, well, I'm remiss. And again, I'm not trying to yell smoke in a crowded in a theater, movie theater here, fire in a movie theater. But I look at my job, if you want to call it a job, is to bring up what I find, problematic or significant. Put it out there, and then people can add to, the group of people add to it, talk about it. I've put up links which have turned out to be fake news stories, and people point it out, and I go, very good. Okay, so this is why we're doing it. We're putting it up there. I'm on the road. I don't have time to do a lot, but it sounded significant. I've passed up news stories that sound too contrived, and the websites are unknown to me. And if this story was true, it would be on a lot of the more known websites, so I pass it up. So that maybe that's being biased and not looking at it individually, but I don't have a lot of time on my own self, so. And this definitely I thought was worth looking into. So I will put those. Those comments. I will put these links in the comments. And this is the one problem. I lost my place here, so I'm kind of stuttering. I put them in the comments, and the comments could be scanned, because going back to that first story, a lot of people have been purged and have been blocked out who are talking about the actors, alleged acting and whatnot, which I didn't get involved in. To me, when I saw the video, I have a post. Let me get to this. I'm going to go down my own page here. When I get to, I got other stuff to talk about. Let me scroll down to this one post. I don't like Facebook at all, but I'm kind of stuck using it for its, I got a bunch of stuff to go to. Here. I got this picture was sent to me in email. Some of these pictures I've seen already, where you have them all like waving to the camera and they're all like smiling, and then when they're on camera, they're sober. Now, I brought up the possibility that maybe these pictures were taken in their journalism classes for another point, and then were used. Because I don't know if you have, when you look at the people, I don't know. He's got his black T-shirt on, but, he could wear that every day for all I know. This person does seem to have the same shirt on, and we don't know if this was taken at a different time. And now people are putting this together to make a dramatic story. I hate that. There's a special spot in hell for someone who purposefully creates BS stories, especially something like this. There's a special spot in hell, and that goes for CNN as well as citizen journalists who just like to get a big kick of pulling people's leg on it. But I'm putting it up for, again, information discussion. People more familiar with this may comment. But when I look at something, try to look at all sides. So maybe these are from a different area and are being used here wrongly. I'd have to look at the video when they went live talking, and which I don't have handy. Other people may have done that already, but that's why I posted that particular. I'm trying to think of anything along this topic before I move on, because I don't want it to keep going back and forth and back and forth. I've been doing a lot of videos on shooting and guns and Fifth and all this. Here is a video that came out, Real Clear Politics, where this is now, if you want to call it older news, where you have witnesses who were there who talked about supporting President Trump's idea of, in fact, let me go to that. I saw a comment that says, Trump said, these are from people, first of all, they're not even in this country. Okay, so if this country passed a law that police had to wear bunny rabbit suits, it's the law of this. It's the people of this country can do what they decide. That's where I'm, nationalistic in, and I'm not going to go tell somebody else. And that's why I'm like a Ron Paul guy, who would have brought all the troops home and wouldn't be in there bombing anybody. But that's another day. So I said Trump wants to arm the teachers. No, that's not what Donald Trump, our president, said. He said he wanted to see if teachers who have concealed carry permits, who are trained, if they want to volunteer to bring their weapon to school in cases of emergency like this, he would like to look into the legalities of that. You know, probably may have to pass executive order allowing this or what have you, or some guidelines. That's what he said. He didn't say arm the teachers. He's not going to take a teacher and go, here's a gun, who's never shot. It's ridiculous. But unfortunately, this is the knucklehead stuff we got to deal with. But what Trump wanted to do was have these people volunteer and then also have trained people at the schools, guards, depending on the size of the school and whatnot. This was some of the realistic, down-to-earth, normal thinking people's how they would respond. When someone's in a war and they're attacking you and they're invading your village, you don't say, no, I'm sorry, guns are illegal here, you have to leave. You have to fight back with lethal force above and beyond what you're coming at. All right, so having somebody trained in there, having the teachers who wish to volunteer, having proper training, confirm their training, and they want to have them with in case, great. You know, that's simple stuff. And then I'm getting stuff from people around the world telling me, oh, my God, what are you guys, crazy in America? Anyway, so CNN has their town meeting, and one guy was kind of agreed with the president and other things, and they didn't want to hear about it. They denied the story. No, it never happened. Then they said, well, actually, he wanted to go out on a rant, and so they offered him time to come on the show at a later date because they had a backpedal. They got caught with their pants down, and they had a backpedal. So there were students who didn't go along with this stuff. And if you saw I watched Donald Trump's meeting with parents and other people who talked about this stuff. He was there, and there was one father there who was pretty pissed. And, he's like, if I would have known it was going to be dangerous for my kid to go to school, I would have been there every day. I would have done whatever it takes. And I want this president, and I want to do whatever it takes. And I'm like, yes, we'll do whatever it takes. Recapping stuff that's probably been said to you 1,000 times already in the week this has happened, or 10 days, whatever. There was all kinds of red flags in this guy. The police were called to their house. He's posting on his own name on a YouTube channel. People are getting banned in YouTube for talking about actors and whatnot. And here's a guy in his own name on his own channel talking about how he wants to shoot people, he wants to become a school shooter, nothing happens. Well, I know what happened is, the story that's shaping up based on this teacher's eyewitness testimony, along with the fact that it just happened. How many schools happen to have the Secret Service come in and train the people what to do, and then shortly thereafter, it actually happens? Now, it's possible the kid got the idea from the Secret Service there. The kid was expelled from the school. That's usually not because he's a good student. He's able to waltz onto campus and walk around like nothing. There's no security. There's no nothing. I mean, when I went to high school, you could do that. You just waltz on the campus. The doors were locked except for the front ones. And there were hall guards, and so on. Now, maybe the hall guards didn't know he was suspended. But, all the doors open out. So they could just leave. Kids can leave. So then somebody could try to sneak in. But I know when I went to high school, and this is in the 70s, if you went out the doors that, in out the door, so to speak, if you were caught, you would get in trouble, detention, suspended, whatever. And so the guy walks in with a duffel bag and no one says anything. I mean, there's 100 red flags here that could have been done. Now, I'm not blaming, and then he had the security guards, the deputies who decided to wait outside, instead of going in after him and whatnot. And I'm not saying everybody should run in after them. I mean, that's their job. When it's your job to go in after them, you go in after them. That's where you're getting paid. You're getting paid to stand around and not do anything until you're needed, and then you do it. That's a worthy pay. It's fine. Well, I'll pay you to stand there. I'll pay you for your training. I'll pay you for your expertise. And when the time comes, you do it. So you have these other guys who weren't heard, and you had the allegations of scripting and other people who were, there's plenty of evidence on there. I got the links to the listening section on here. I'll put those links down there. And there's stuff like this. False ID. purchased 27 guns using a false ID and sold these guns to felons. He walks the street free man today because after being charged with 55 counts of federal gun trafficking crimes, Barack Obama's Department of Justice negotiated a plea bargain, exchanging one guilty plea on one charge that he would get probation. And it says, now tell me again how the NRA is a problem? And you know what, I already belong to the NRA, but what I would do if I wasn't, I would simply join the NRA to make a statement. I mean, it's not that expensive. And it's just ridiculous how people are blaming this stuff. When it's the system has failed miserably, which means that I wouldn't be surprised if the record number of people are out there buying guns after this because the system completely failed. And so there. I'm looking to see if there's any. Oh, yeah. Let me get into this. Ben Swann. Now I know Ben Swann. Let me get my other screen here. He did a story on Pizzagate, innocently bringing up all the information connected. And I mean, when I mean innocently, I mean like, let's put all the evidence we got together and see what happens and look at it, okay? And apparently he was fired. And so what Ben Swann did, and I watched a few of his videos, and I like his style. You know, he seems to be literally wants to get the answer, and he's not going to be in anybody's corner. But he got in touch with Dash, which is a digital cash, a cryptocurrency, and they worked out a deal where they're basically probably paying him in Dash, which is, you know, how he's doing this. So he's able to do a pretty good job. He's putting out 2 videos a week, so I would recommend people would subscribe to his channel and watch these videos because every one I've seen has been pretty good. You know, pretty like critical thinking, common sense, let's find out type of a deal. So I want to mention that and recommend him. There's another guy I found. It's pretty grim stuff. So this is not for everybody. This is a guy called Mr. Gunk. I believe he's in either England or Australia, and excuse me, I don't know. You know, I'm not really good on accents. He's at least from there, okay? I don't understand why he's not been, his website has not been closed. Because he gets into stuff that, and again, I'm not going to, when I recommend Ben Swann so far is pretty good. I'm pretty able. I've only seen a few from Mr. Gunk, so I can't vouch for him altogether, but the stuff I saw was very interesting. But he gets involved in like a lot of the Pizzagate stuff, and it's pretty grim. So it might not be for if you're interested and you can, you know, you want to talk about it. I mean, you know, it's some people who have been sexually abused don't want to sit and talk about this. So I just mentioned it, and it reminded me by seeing I posted a reality check that the question that Trump did not make it easier for severely mental people to buy guns. So, I mean, it's a fake news story, and he went in to find out whether or not. And speaking of the NRA and Planned Parenthood, one kills children, one trying to protect children. They talk about NRA buying politicians. Planned Parenthood far outspends NRA in buying influence. And Planned Parenthood has one goal, and that's abortion. They claim, and it's been shown, studies have been shown, and people have called in and said that they have tried to call up. Do you have any prenatal care or no, we don't have it at this facility. And they came up with such a small percentage actually have that. The goal of Planned Parenthood is abortion. The goal of Planned Parenthood is eugenics from its founder, who openly was a eugenicist, and it ends up that's the goal. And the main people who use them are poor people, who are some of the poorer people in the country, the minorities. And to quote, again, now I'm seeing her picture, can't think of her name. Who was it in the chat room who said that? Ma Turuzu. I'm going to put her name. It'll come to me when I stop thinking about her. She talked about the blacks like weeds, having kids like weeds, and then weeding them out with their with their Planned Parenthood. So, I mean, come on. Let's call it what it is. And Planned Parenthood far outspends NRA in buying influence, okay? So let's get that out on the table, right off the bat, get that up there and say, okay, that was the last show. Okay, so let me kind of go back and see what else I wanted to talk about. Here's Malcolm X. I bought this. Malcolm X is probably, if I could pick one person in history that I'd like to talk to, I mean, other than like talking to somebody from really far away to get information, but is Malcolm X would be really good now. Now, and I'm not saying that I sit and like everything he's ever said, but everything I've heard him say was he really knew what he's doing. He even came out and looked at the black Muslim, and he was really gung-ho along with it, and he found the corruption in his own church, own organization, and called it out. That's gutsy, and that's what probably got him killed, frankly. And he called out the politicians at the time, white politicians at the time, the black individuals at the time, called them out and did a great job. So I put this link up. I bought this. It's 40 hours of audio, 12 hours of video, 4,000 pages of FBI. They're all links, so I haven't downloaded them because I think it's from the same gentleman here. I had a CD with some stuff on it, which I can't find, of course, in this mess. So Malcolm X is going to be is going to have a lot of stuff. He's one of the guys who saw through. This is in the 60s. He saw it, and here we are now, where it's even worse. I think he would be vomiting. He'd be so upset of what happened, how the black community is kowtowed to the we'll call it the white liberal or whatever color liberal, and how the black leaders and politicians are in bed with them. It's just disgusting. So I got a link up there. I'll put the links, everything underneath here when I put this up. There's the father with the narrative. I got some stuff up there about gun control. I mean, I never bother with guns. I had no intentions of getting guns until all this stuff happened a few years ago. And this last year, I joined NRA and got my Voight card in America. In Illinois, you got to get a card to allow you to have your Second Amendment. So it's a lot worse than other. But how come the media never had kids from the Tennessee church shooting on the news who had their families and lives saved because a hero with a firearm and a AR-15 stopped the shooter in his tracks? Because they don't care about saving lives. It's all about their agenda, and it's disgusting. And there's a special spot in hell for the Bolsheviks, for the Maoists, and for these people who don't give a hoot or a damn about you or anybody but their power. And the people who voted for Trump of all colors, the people who are standing up against this stuff, are the enemy. That is, they're their enemy, and they want them out. And they are pissed off. They almost had it sewed up. And along comes Big Mouth Trump with his money, who can push his way through the system that weeded out people like Ron Paul. And with all his faults and all his positives and his stuff, he got his way through there, and they are pissed off at him, at us. In fact, let me turn my head around for a minute. All right? And they're pissed off. And this is what's going on here. It is a fight. And right now, they're doing the legal stuff with the judges and all this other stuff to try with it. They got Mueller in there trying his damnedest to get Trump on anything. What'd you have for breakfast today? I had an orange and cereal. No, I'm sorry, you're under arrest for lying to the FBI. You actually had a Tangelo and an orange, and you're going to prison. And it actually could happen. That scenario is very possible. They have a videotape of him eating a Tangelo, and he said he had an orange. And I'm telling you, this is, if they have to go that's an exaggeration, but it's not. And this is what they're trying to do, and they're trying desperately to do this. And I'm telling you, I don't want to sound like some kind of a fearmonger, because I'm not. I'm a realist. And I know these people, not only do they want the power, and see, a lot of the Republicans don't realize this. They're like going, well, they win, we win. It's the way it is. No. These people are talking about, they're the pedophilia, eating children, drinking blood, all this, the Satanism, all. That's deep in the inside. It's not a lot of the people, it's the core of them. And if they get outed, the entire country or world would want them hung from the highest rafters. And so they're fighting for their actual lives. They're fighting for their power, their bloodthirsty power. They're fighting for their millions that they've gotten through corruption. They are fighting for their life. The other people are just, well, we're trying to work out a compromise. No, there's no compromise here. They all you have to go through the FBI and the Department of Justice and go through all of this, the Senate. You have to weed out all these people, and they got to go. Eric Holder does a little video. Let me see if I can get this on here. Does a video. We have to brainwash people and kids with anti-gun curriculum in their classrooms. Let's see how long this is. No, I don't want no ads, no driver up.
As part of the gun initiative, though, an informational campaign to really change the hearts and minds of people in Washington, D.C., and in particular our young people. They are saturated in the media and in entertainment, or by the entertainment industry, with violence. And I think too many of our young people, in particular our young men, are fascinated with violence and in particular fascinated with guns. I've also asked the school board to make a part of every day some kind of anti-violence, anti-gun message. Every day, every school, at every level.
Anti-violence is fine, right? But see, they don't want anti-violence. They want to have anti-violence against them. So you could have Antifa, and you could, all these politicians, nobody's out there yelling at Antifa. How do you weed them out of positions of power? Well, here's the problem, Darth, in the chat room. How do you weed them out? I don't have an answer, at least one that I like, because I would like to have them legally weeded out, okay? And Trump and the people, if there's going to be good people in the government, there's going to be good judges, I want them to be weeded out that way, okay? But as you see in the Nuremberg trials in Germany, which, by the way, the left are really the, quote, Nazis, not the right. D'Souza has a pretty good video on that. You want to check that out. The judges were in on it. And in the one movie I saw, Spencer Tracy, the judge was the worst of them because he was supposed to be the one standing up for what's right, what's legal, and the judges were the worst. And this is why I actually claim the media is the worst. But so I don't have an answer of how do we weed them out, because we can't go out. They have, because they have no soul and no scruples and no holds bar, they can do anything. All right? We, on the good side, have to follow the law and procedures. And my statement that I've always meant was, just scroll down to the link. Wait about a second. Yeah, I lost my track. I shouldn't. That's why I don't want to sit and look at the chat room too much. Man, I lost my train of thought. Wish I can rewind it when I saw what I just said. One of the things I've always struggled with is, how do you fight against a psychopath? How do you stop and fight against a psychopath without becoming a psychopath or doing what a psychopath does? So, yeah, we could sit and go, yeah, we should all just arrest them all and put them in prison. No trial. Well, now we're circumventing our own Constitution to stop them from circumventing our own Constitution, you see? This is why it's tough. And this is why my trust is in the system of the system of the universe. I'm not talking about the matrix in terms of like the man-made matrix holding us in. It's hard to use words, but I think at this time, we're in a time of the revealing. And I think that if we just go forward and don't get tempted to go off and try to take justice in our own hands, things will be revealed and they will screw up. I mean, right now we're talking about this whole shooting here. There's a lot of screw-ups in it. So, my answer to Darth is, what do you do to weed them out? Is you keep on keeping on, and as you're going on, things will come up. And and go with it. So you're kind of going along with the deal. So, okay, we got that. Now let me go back to All right, we've already talked about all the warning signs. This lady had a good straight. Where's the sound?
Many in legacy media love mass shootings. You guys love it. Now, I'm not saying that you love the tragedy, but I am saying that you love the ratings. Crying white mothers are ratings gold to you and many in the legacy media in the back. And notice I said crying white mothers because there are thousands of grieving black mothers in Chicago every weekend, and you don't see town halls for them,
Amen.
do you? Where's the CNN town hall for Chicago?
Truth. It's truth.
Where's the CNN town hall for Sanctuary City?
Whenever I hear blatant truth, I get like tears in my eyes.
Where was the CNN town hall for Jamil Shaw Sr., whose son was murdered by someone who illegally entered the country and had been deported repeatedly? Where was his voice? Where was the voice of those junior ROTC members last night, CNN?
Of course, you won't see this on CNN.
If it bleeds, it leads, but it has to be the right people from the right communities at the right time. I'm really looking at a lot of the legacy media back there on the platform, and you can write whatever you want about me, and you can come find me in the hallways, and you can scream at me, and you can try to confront me, but I'm here, we're not going anywhere. I call BS.
Amen. Now, I don't know this lady from Adam, okay, but what she just talked was truth. And it just shot right through me. I love the term legacy media. That's my official term now. We did get a response from Harrison Ford, of all people. I like your movies. One connection to all this collectivism. Just vote out any and all politicians who support the ideology. Vote them out. Do this until you find, do this to find the ultimate infiltrator, false global ideology. Yeah, well, keep on keeping on. Vote them out. Expose them. When the legacy media lies and covers stuff up, put it out there. Show the before after. Show the changing. Look, I'm looking right after before and after. I wonder if I subconsciously saw that. Here's the thing about this. It's a very extensive article about Snopes and how they have changed things to support their sponsors. You know what? I got to tell you, in all honesty, that's not uncommon when it comes to media. That's why it's important to not have your bread buttered by who you may go after. And they either will stop you, monetarily, or you will become bankrupt. In my case, I'm paying for all this. What some people are sending donations, which I appreciate, but I'm going out there and working my job and paying for this, so I don't have anybody telling me how I should butter my bread. And I think that's what a lot of the so-called citizen journalists would be. And I wrote this. I think I included it in last week's write-up, but I will do it now. Actually, the news story here is the system failed. Many warning signs were not acted upon by authorities charged with executing existing laws. Failure of the Guard to do his job and engage the shooter. Now we find out there's 4 of them. The opportunistic use of the shootings for neo-Bolshevik propagandists, a.k.a. the legacy media, whose job it was to fact-find and report the data. As in Sandy Hook, I predict this will actually drive gun sales up as this failure sinks in. Private schools with adequate protection protocols that are actually a follow and actually teach kids how to problem solve and think will grow, as well as homeschooling. The neo-Bolshevik, neo-Maoists means that they use to disarm and disable the public will be the catalyst for the exact opposite. It will, what they're doing to try and silence and pressure and bully the people will actually propel them in the opposite direction against them. This is why I'm saying that what they say and what they do to us will actually come back on them. And speaking of that, I've also entered a contest, and you can do this too. Enter the contest. I'm not a big fan of pistols, though. I kind of like the revolver. It's more my speed. I'm not a, Anyway, back to this. That's a pleasant note. Let me see if I can get all the crap out of the way first, and then I can do a couple of nice things. Camera on. 4 sheriffs hid from the deputies. Oh, well, that's crap too. Well, let's do this. Now, I've never seen this before. Now, people have commented on my link and said, yeah, I saw it a couple years ago. I've never, ever seen this, and I've kind of really paid attention to 9/11 stuff. And I was stunned when I saw this. Oh, what did I do? I messed up. Because if you recall, when they showed the plane, where's my little plane that hit the Pentagon, they released a couple of frames of the security camera. Why a couple of frames? Of course, I know the answer to that, because they don't want you to see what it is, okay? But they released a couple of frames showing the explosion. Now, what we as people looking into it know is that whatever it was flowing very low to the ground. And physics people have stepped in and said a plane wouldn't have the lift at that height to be able to go along the ground like that. However, something like a missile would, because of the thrust of the missile, doesn't use lift per se. It uses the wings to just guide them a little bit, but the thrust would be so fast that it could fly close to the ground. And so the theory is that it would be a missile or at best a drone, but the missile was what people were saying, right? So in this video, there's several things. Luckily it loops, so I'm just going to play it while I'm talking, right? If you notice, first off, I want to stop it. All right, if you see that explosion, if anybody's got links to these pictures, send them to me and I'll put them there, make it nicer. But if you saw those frames that were released, that's what the explosion looked like. I mean, so I can look at this angle and go, yep, that's the explosion that they showed when they released this stuff. So to me, this looks to me like a legitimate video. Now, as you're looking at it, you see the thing going straight along the ground. You see that it looks like a missile, a very skinny, fast-moving object. But also notice where it came from. It kind of appears. Now, maybe the video started there. But it appears that, and then somebody had commented below in the comments that there was a theory. Now, I didn't hear this at all. So this is, old but new to me, that there was some kind of building built here. So that missile was literally shot out of this building, and with all the media attention over here, that building was either neglected and or disassembled because all the media attention was over here. Now, I don't know about that last part, but in this video, it gives the impression it's coming out of this dark thing here, though it could have been just that's where the frame starts. So if anybody's got a longer clip of this video or can give me links on it, because this video to me is like, talk about smoking gun. I got 2 smoking guns here in the last couple of days. This lady talking about it, and then now this thing, because it's clearly it's not a plane that did a 270-degree barrel roll in the air. Now, I will say, on the other show I did, Black Knight Square AG show, we had a guy on who was a musician. It was innocent, but he happened to be an airline pilot. And on another show we do, we also talk about these things, but it's more of a fun show. But we brought up, I go, well, hey, as an airline pilot, how is it possible for somebody to do a 270-degree barrel roll who was only trained on small planes? And he said that the planes are controlled, they have autopilot, and you could put in a GPS coordinate in the plane, and the plane will fly to it. So in other words, these guys who got on the planes didn't have to fly the planes. They just had to know what to put the code in there. So whether or not it was the hijackers, which is what this guy believes, or if it was a high-tech black ops thing where they could have downloaded or took over a remote control and put this in there. They put in that destination or whatever, and the plane will fly itself to that destination. And boy, was that an eye opener. I mean, I don't think he thinks that it was the. But look at that picture over and over again. I see that. That is. I'll probably. I wonder why the YouTube thing was backwards on the bottom. Maybe it's just reversed. I'd like to try and capture this, too, to make sure it doesn't disappear, because this, to me, is one of the biggest smoking guns there is. Well, Darth Vader is saying if it was a missile, why cover it up? Because the narrative was that these hijackers hijacked the planes and threw it into there. A missile being shot at the Pentagon, someone arguing the most defended aerial space in the world. Of course, having a plane fly in there is dumb, too. You'd have to explain how a missile got in there, whereas you can explain that these hijackers did it. So they got to go with the plane scenario. Okay, so that's another, when I saw it, I was like, wow. Now, one more thing I want to mention here. I got Less Visible coming up, and I don't want to stay here rambling too long. I got this on a post of mine. I got this on a post of mine. Again, I have these friends, and they're nice people. I've visited them in Holland. They've moved now. But they said, you don't stop killings with more guns. You stop killings by destroying all guns and teaching children and people to start loving and caring for each other. Now, yeah. No, I answered this. Wasn't smart aleck or nothing. I didn't answer it. I mean, I answered this honestly, right, from the heart. I want to add that it wasn't a U.S. citizen, and I'm getting kind of tired of non-U.S. citizens telling me what to do, but I didn't say that here. This is just like between me and you. My response was, as nice as this sounds, it's not realistic, since this has never happened since the beginning of time. The whole of Earth's history is measured by the strong oppressing the less strong, and the oppressed banding together to overthrow the oppressor. That's the whole history of the world, from beginning to end. From animals to humans, clubs to swords to guns, who will ban the guns? The governments? Well, what I said from the beginning, from animals to humans and all this stuff. Who's going to ban the guns? The governments? They are the number one killer in history. And I'll scroll down to a picture. Religions? They're probably the number 2 killers in history. All right? Aliens? Well, if they exist, why are they going to be any different? You are correct about teaching the children to love one another. Who will teach them? Single or divorced parents? Their kids start out life knowing that their own parents couldn't love each other. The state? Religions? Well, we've already addressed that. The answer, as unpleasant as it may sound, is for those of us who do love one another, being able to protect one another from those who hate. Enforcing existing laws would have stopped many of these shootings. So much for the state protecting us. We don't need any more laws. I have and will help those I can, when I can, with money, time, information, whatever. And if they're getting attacked or whatever, I'll do what I can. But when someone breaks into my home or shows up at school or at the grocery store, shooting or stabbing, I want someone superiorly prepared and armed to intervene, be it a civilian or a professional. When you're in a store and a guy's coming in with a gun, what do? Oh, if they outlaw all guns, he wouldn't be able to have a gun. And they use stuff like, how many shootings, school shootings, there have been in England? Well, it's the culture. Like they said, you teach the kids. You go back into the 50s and 60s, they used to have gun clubs at school. Kids would go to school on a public transportation with a rifle and ammunition. Go to school, practice shooting, no one thought about it. No one shot anybody. So it's the culture. It's not the gun. And the gun is the only thing that the people who aren't in this death culture, on the other side of this, me and you, the guns are the only thing that can protect us from them. Because it takes a while for the police to get there. I mean, even the greatest police on the planet can't do it all. And then throughout history, it never did. In the West, in the early America, you had to stand for yourself. Everybody had weapons. Everybody stood for themselves. In fact, the original army was people. You go to Switzerland, their army is people. You know, and they don't shoot each other in Switzerland. There's no shoot-ups, and they got guns, you know. There was a comment on here. We don't know who the enemy is. Well, I want to say from a spiritual perspective, we're in a time of the revealing. You know, the term apocalypse in Greek means revealing. It doesn't mean apocalypse like end of the world. It means the revealing. That's all it means. Is I think things are going to be people, if you keep your eyes open, people will reveal if they're the enemy or not. The people who don't have guns can still be an enemy, okay? Doesn't mean they're going to come stab you or shoot you, but they could do legal stuff, or they could hate you or covet you or whatever. So I think the answer is we must be vigilant, awake, aware. I mean, I believe in God and Jesus and all this stuff. His teachings are superior. I think Jesus is on the other side with the comforter. I mean, to get into theological, working with people. And if you seek that will help and guide you. It will heal you and all this other stuff. I mean, I'm bored with all of this. And if you have that approach and you look out in the world and say, God, I love you. I love mankind. I want to know and help. It's going to happen because this is the time. This is why Trump's in office. It's not because he's a saint. It's because he's capable. He's the man for the job. And that's another thing I want to say about saints. One of the things that are wrong is over the years, they've whitewashed the saints. That's wrong. Okay? That's wrong. Saints were regular people, and they had their gifts, they had their positive sides, whatever, and they had their people sides. I mean, we're all saints to some degree, those anyway who were on the light. So keep your eyes and ears open. You will find, keep in prayer, keep in meditation. Lord, show me. Or God, Father, I like to say Father. I like to follow Jesus. Father, give me wisdom. Show me what I should do, where I should be. Quelch my fears. Quelch my anger. I want to be clever-headed about this. I want to be clear-eyed. I want to understand. I want to do what's right. Because we're going to live our life here and die. I mean, just this whole life extension stuff where they go download you to robots and all, that's all complete crap. We're all going to die. We're going to move on to something else. It is, it's like in the Lord of the Rings, well, actually the Silmarillion, basically the encyclopedia of that whole particular world, says that man, the elves are eternal. What's not the word? They live forever. I mean, they could die and then they go somewhere else, but they could just keep living. And men had the blessing of God of dying. And to me, with that, I thought that was kind of clever. And why I look at it is that we're going to be in here for a finite period of time. We're going to do something. We're going to learn something. We're going to do whatever. And then we move on. And what we do here affects where we move on. And God will enter into your life and help you do the right things to do the best and help and move on. And a person who has done a lot of evil in the past could turn around at this time, in this revealing, could make this total turnaround and become a force for good. And it could mend a lot of ills, cover a lot of sin, so to speak. So that's what I think is happening at this time. We have to be open and ready for this. Here's the picture I wanted to show. Here's their disarming. Here's the government taking away guns from people. 1935, China established gun control. From 1948 to 1952, 20 million political dissidents, that means people who didn't agree with the people with the guns, unable to defend themselves, were rounded up and exterminated. And here's this guy just getting ready to get his head blown off. And here, look at the guy smiling, enjoying their little work. And this is the same race here. We're not even talking about different countries, different ethnicities. We're talking about the same people in the same country. Hello, America, with the Antifa in there. Of course, they got race to spice it up here on this one. But look in the back. Look at all the people just sitting around waiting in the back. This is, and look what they're being held in by, barbed wire. If all those people would have rushed these guys, how many were there? I don't know. Maybe there's a whole bunch outside the camera angle. But they're all hoping that they're spared. Well, maybe they'll let me go. And they're all, all were marched to slaughter. This is what's happening now. The neo-Bolsheviks in 1917, Bolsheviks, the Maoists in the Cultural Revolution, this is happening in this country right now. And right now they're using propaganda and legal terms. They're trying to get everybody to lay down the guns. They're trying to get everybody to go back to sleep, which Obama and the other people were doing. And Trump comes in and stirs up the whole pot. They hate it. They hate him. They hate you. They hate me. They hate him. And I talk with friends who have known me for years. And when I mention Trump, the hate that comes out of there, it's just amazing. And it's revealing. If you have someone who hates Trump and you want to have them articulate why, and they get all pissed off, it's like, maybe you ought to, this is a guy I don't feel like being around at this point, Okay, I think that's about it. Now, I was going to do an interview with James McKinney, but it was just too much for me to do today. So I'll probably push it up to next week. He's got a fantastic design for a wind generator that he's made. He's patented and he's having it made. People are getting involved in it, and it's a great idea. I mean, you'd have to see this video. It's on my Facebook. I'll put it in the bottom underneath here. Watch the video. I don't know. It's 10 minutes. Great stuff where you can generate wind electricity cheaply from wind, very simply. You can build these things very economically. They don't have, and you can make them big enough for your house, or you can make them big enough that they're the size of a building, and they don't kill the birds because of the speed they got. The wings are cloth. Fantastic design. James McKinney we're looking at somebody who is a current genius, like an Einstein or what's his name, the other guy, Newton, and all these guys. He's living here. And for all his flaws as a human and all his positives of a human and all his positives in it, like a regular person, the rest of us, he's come up with some fantastic ideas. This one could literally save the planet, because I don't like to burn coal and gas. I like electric cars, but you can't make electricity cheaply. It means that if you're going to mandate electric cars, we're going to be like Singapore, where no one has cars because they can't afford them. So this is why it's a great video. People should watch it. It's very simple. And I got a video here. I won't show it now, but this is a security cam footage of two girls who were in a store. The guy came in to rob them, and they had a gun underneath the counter. And the guy, at this time, he is clinging to life. And this is the thing. You come into my house to do me harm. I don't want to hurt nobody. I don't want to shoot anybody. I don't want to cause any problem. I want to be left alone. I want to be able to do what I got to do, in life, and I'm not going to harm anybody. I'll help anybody. You cross that threshold into my space to do harm. Hey, it's your choice. It's your choice. And what they don't want is you to be able to protect yourself from that, because they want to use that as a terror mechanism for control. Just like those people standing there in the camp, hoping that they're not called. Maybe they'll let us go. Okay? If they wouldn't have confiscated their weaponry and all that, the propaganda may still have worked, but at least some people would have had a way to do things. And I think I covered everything here today. Remember, I did that interview with Zeph Daniels. It might be interesting for you guys to watch. It's already posted, so you could check that out. And I think that's it. Yeah, so let me go back here. All right, so there you go. Please give me information about that Pentagon video. If anybody's got a better video or longer or whatever, please send it to me. And also, Spread the word about this link. I did it. Here's probably the best story. True Pundit. You can spread this link, or you can actually find the video. I lost it. The video is on the GMA website. Yeah.
Just 1 week ago.
Fantastic stuff. If you haven't heard it, I played it several times at the beginning of the show. So if you come in late, just start watching it again. And it's amazing stuff. Now, let me get to less visible. And then I got to start getting the ball rolling here. Going up to Wisconsin tomorrow. So you take care. God bless you. And hang in there. And you remember, we're all going to die someday. So let's die doing the right thing. So when we move on, we're going out on a high note, let's say, no matter how unpleasant it may be, whether it be cancer, whether it be being shot, or helping somebody and you get hurt, you get killed. You're going out on a high note. What greater thing, a love for one another, that you can lay down your life for your fellow person, and better, even a stranger. Keep that positive approach. Keep that empowered approach. And join the NRA and protest. Anyway, we'll see you later, and here we go. We'll end it up with some words from Less Visible. We'll all watch, because when I do these, I haven't watched the video. I just put it up there, so Les is in complete control of what he says. And so what is this doing? Okay, so here we go. Less Visible. All right, let me try this. We got a little glitch here. And Less Visible.
Hello, and welcome to Dog Poet Transmitting and your central clearinghouse for Arcturian, Sirius Cluster, and Pleiadian influences of an inspirational nature. I know there are probably people who are looking askance at my mention of interstellar presences. What with all the silly channeling for money and the woo-woo peanut gallery, now haunted by the spirit of Art Bell and a host of others. But I've been having these experiences all my life. I don't actually come out with long-winded proclamations from disembodied entities. I just send you greetings. If you want more contact, depending on who you are, you might not even get it. Or you might. And you get it the same way that you make contact with those who come to provide you with insight and inspiration in your life. Maybe you don't have that. Some of us do. And it can make a world of difference when things go south, as they invariably do for all of us at certain times. The key to contact with anything, be it supernal or infernal, is through seeking it out in your thoughts and through concentration, and the unshakable certitude that it's there to be found, and especially through the practice of meditation, because you go deep and deeper and deep within, and that is where these positive influences exist. Each of us has an angelic being assigned to us, much like a caseworker in each life. I do not say that they are actual angels, and certainly not archangels, except in very rare instances. Angels are not like fairies. Even fairies are not like what most people think fairies are. Fairies might not even like you. As is the case with many elemental beings, you need the vibe and the awareness to manage the interaction. That's just how it goes. These are perilous times. You go out your door each day and it just looks like the world as you know it. Go into the supermarket, there's food there, see people coming and going. Maybe you watch a little TV. You see that things aren't all that good everywhere else. Many, many changes are taking place. And it's really going to depend on where we are within ourselves as to what is going to take place outside of ourselves. Because no matter how dire it may become, it will always be better somewhere. Wherever, when the darkness begins to pervade over a wide area, the light concentrates in smaller areas. It's physics. There are too many people these days that are consumed in the attraction for celebrity and any kind of fame, and will do literally anything to get it. They're not different from the moths who spin around light bulbs and candle flames. And the result is often the same for them as it is for the moths. There's no way to find reason or judgment in this kind of behavior. Reason and judgment have left the building. So it is that now people are pursuing Satanism and other systems that are also Satanism, but don't announce themselves as such until further along. People think they can contact demons, and these demons will give them what they want. This is not how it works. Demons are demons. They have one interest, and that is to possess you with whatever appetite they represent, whatever obsession, whatever state of being that they are the essence of, but in a demonic manner. And if you open the door to them, so it is. You have to be able to command demons. And that requires a truly powerful will, an unshakable will. Because these things can be seriously scary, and they can be very distracting. And if they can distract you, now, there are some who can do this, but they are of a unique sort. However, even those with truly powerful wills have gotten themselves in serious trouble, and you have no idea what trouble really is until you go courting it in the infernal regions. Take my word for it. People with no sense of self, no discipline, no concentration, little will, or anything else that is required, are attempting to garner influence with ancient forces of evil. You do the math. It's like the very least capable individuals are the ones most directly drawn into this. And what are they? They're cannon fodder in the afterlife. They're cannon fodder here. And they're drawn and compelled into forms of behavior. And it's going on all around you. If you take things like the porn industry in the valley, San Fernando Valley, that whole area. If you take prostitution as it exists in many cities in the world, human trafficking, the drug empires, people in the boardroom suites, the CEOs, the lawyers, the accountants, they're all in service to invisible forces. They may not know this. They may think that they are pursuing their own agendas, but they're in service and they are on track to a particular result. But that's the thing, see? Things don't seem like what they really are. And that's the lure and the attraction. They're all in attraction, just like what is on the end of a hook when you go to get a fish. Surely the fish, if it knew, would not bite at the lure, which isn't even something it can eat, unless there was a worm on it. Because it costs the fish its life. Even a fish would survive if it kept its mouth shut. So, and that is how people are. And what you want to do is you want to get hooked by a true Jnana guru. You want to bite on that hook and have him reel you in. You don't want to bite on these other hooks. There's nothing in the world that's going to give you anything. You have to find it all inside here and then count on whatever is meant for you in the world will be given unto you. And that should be counted on. These people have been told that blood sacrifices are the way, so they go out and they start with animals and they work their way up. The result is that they damn themselves. The true course is not as apparent as once it might have been. There's so much confusion these days, and it's not accidental. The boundaries between good and evil have been blurred, and political correctness has been creating armies of monsters. You must learn to internalize, and nothing is as effective, as I say, as meditation. And that is the key also to everything else that's been mentioned here on the positive end, and in terms of making deeper contact with powerful forces that can aid you in this life. My life is proof positive that this is true, because I got through some things in ways that can be nothing other than miraculous. I still had to go through them, but I came out the other side. It makes all the difference to have friends in high places. Unfortunately, too many are seeking friends in low places. We will all find what we're seeking, for good or for ill. You want to have these friends. I have these friends. They account for my doing this right now and all the other things I do without thinking about remuneration or anything else. There's the joys in the actual doing of the thing and the knowing of what lies beyond. And that's available to anyone. No matter how lost you think you may be, you can be found very quickly. Indeed. The world is in a tempestuous whirlwind of change right now. And no one really knows how it's going to work itself out, even if it will. There are positive signs, but there are ominous signs. Have faith and seek the guiding light within. That said, Hare Krishna. Hail, Lord Jesus Christ. Micham Ambu Guru Baba. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Much love, Lady Nature. Om Amitabha. Greetings, my good friend, Lord Ganesh. Carry on, Baha'u'llah, Aloha, and Haru. And God bless.